There's a specific moment in a man's life, usually somewhere around 43 years old. He walks into his garage late at night. He looks at the boat he financed last spring. He looks at the massive pickup truck parked next to it, and he quietly thinks to himself, I think I'm doing pretty well. His paycheck has never been bigger. His job title has never sounded more important. His kid just made the elite travel baseball team that somehow cost the exact same as a used Honda Civic. By every visible metric society gives us, this guy has made it. This is success. But here is the dark reality that nobody warns him about. The man standing in that garage is, statistically speaking, in the single most financially dangerous decade of his entire life. It wasn't his 20s when he was broke and eating ramen. It wasn't his 30s when he was sleep-deprived with toddlers. It's his 40s. The decade that looks like the ultimate win is actually the decade that quietly steals his retirement. Today, we are going to break down the 8 massive financial traps that the 40s set up for men. These traps are designed so perfectly that most guys don't even realize they are standing in one until it springs. Let's get into it. Trap 1. The peak earnings illusion. Let's start with the trap that funds every other mistake on this list. If you don't understand this one, the rest won't make sense. We're talking about the peak earnings illusion. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, a man's median weekly earnings peak right between the ages of 45 and 54. The number on your paycheck is mathematically as good as it's ever going to get. Your brain interprets this new influx of cash as a permanent new reality. You think, this is who I am now. This is my new baseline. So you start spending like it. But here is the fatal flaw. Vanguard publishes a report every year called How America Saves. Their latest data shows the median 401k balance for participants aged 45 to 54 is roughly $67,000. Think about that. $67,000. That's the median. Half of working men in their peak earning years have less than that saved for retirement. You have 20 years on the clock, making the most money you've ever made, and the balance sheet is sitting in the corner crying. What's happening is a financial optical illusion. Your income looks like wealth. Your lifestyle looks like success, but you are just passing the money through your hands to buy stuff instead of buying freedom. Trap 2. The status truck. Which brings us to where all that converted income actually goes. Trap number 2, the status truck. According to Kelley Blue Book, the average transaction price for a full-size pickup is pushing $66,000. Not a fully loaded luxury truck, just the average. And demographic data shows that over 80% of new pickup buyers are men. The average Ford F-150 buyer is 55. The average Ram 1500 buyer is 50. Despite what the tough guy commercials show you, these trucks aren't being bought by 22-year-old construction workers. They are overwhelmingly bought by men in their 40s and 50s who have decided they earned it. He uses this $66,000 machine to drive 14 miles in stop-and-go traffic to a desk job. He hauls something in the bed roughly twice a year, usually a Christmas tree and a couple of bags of mulch from Home Depot. Let's run the math, because the math is savage. The average new truck loan right now is hovering around 7 years at $900 a month. That is over $75,000 leaving your account, plus insane insurance rates, plus gas for a vehicle that gets 19 miles to the gallon. You're looking at conservatively $90,000 of total cost over 7 years. If you bought a reliable $20,000 used sedan and invested the $70,000 difference at a 7% return, by the time you hit 65, it will be worth around $271,000. Your truck isn't costing you 66 grand. It's costing you $250,000 in retirement money. Trap 3. The helicopter dad and youth sports casino. Trap 3 targets your heart. Your kid is 11 and they're pretty good at baseball or soccer or competitive cheerleading. Family spending on youth sports has exploded. For families in travel programs, you're easily spending $3,000 to $5,000 a year. At elite levels, parents are dropping $10,000 to $25,000 per child per year. Hockey parents, don't even get me started. I want to be perfectly clear. Wanting good things for your kids is an amazing trait. The problem isn't the love. The problem is the delusion attached to it. A recent survey found that 49% of youth sports parents actually believe their child will receive an athletic scholarship, half of them. The actual NCAA data? Only about 2% of high school athletes get any athletic scholarship at all, and most of those are partial, covering just a fraction of tuition. You have a 49% confidence rate chasing a 2% outcome. You're not funding their education. You're playing a casino game. If you took that $5,000 a year and invested it at 7% instead of spending it on travel baseball, you'd have $89,000 by the time they graduate high school. Leave it to compound until you're 65, and it's over $280,000. You are sacrificing $250,000 of your retirement for a scholarship that doesn't exist, and guess what? You still have to pay for their college. Trap 4. The whole life insurance pitch. Sometime in your 40s, somebody is going to take you to lunch. It might be a guy from a networking event, an old buddy, or worst of all, your wife's cousin, which means you can't say no without ruining Thanksgiving. They're going to pitch you whole life insurance. They might call it permanent life insurance, infinite banking, or cash value life insurance. It's all the same overpriced product wearing a different hat. Here's the math. A healthy 40-year-old man can buy a 20-year term life policy with a $500,000 death benefit for roughly $330 a year. The exact same coverage in a whole life policy, around $6,300 a year. It is literally 19 times more expensive for the exact same payout. The pitch is always, it builds cash value. It's an investment. But what really happens? Your first few years of massive premiums go directly into the agent's pocket as a commission. Your cash value grows at a rate that would embarrass a standard savings account. And if you die, the insurance company keeps the cash value and only pays out the death benefit. Buy the term policy for $330. Take the $6,000 difference and put it into an S&P 500 index fund every single year. After 20 years, at a 7% return, you will have $250,000 of your own, highly liquid money. Don't fall for the pitch. It's just a massive commission wearing a suit and tie. Trap 5. The garage full of depreciation. Look, every man eventually wants a toy, a boat, an RV, a motorcycle, a side-by-side, or a classic car that sits in the garage for 6 years waiting for the right weekend to restore it. I'm not telling you to live like a monk, but look at the demographics. The median age of a boat owner is 54 years. RV ownership peaks right in the 35 to 54 bracket. A decent base boat will run you $50,000 to $80,000. And the math on these toys is uniquely savage because they don't just cost what you paid for them, they depreciate by 50% in the first 5 years. Plus, you have to insure them, store them, winterize them, register them, fuel them, and repair them. The boating community has a famous saying for a reason. The 2 happiest days of a boat owner are the day they buy it and the day they sell it. A $50,000 boat over 5 years, when factoring in depreciation, slip fees, and maintenance, will quietly drain you another $50,000. If you took that money and invested it instead, it would be worth nearly $200,000 by the time you're 65. The boat doesn't owe you anything, but it definitely doesn't owe you a retirement. Now we get to the one that hurts the ego. A massive academic study out of UC Berkeley looked at the stock trading behavior of 35,000 households. They found that men traded 45% more often than women, and because of all that buying and selling, they severely underperformed the market. Single men were the worst, trading 67% more than single women and losing out on massive annual returns. Men work harder at their portfolios and get paid less for it. In your 20s, you had $1,000 in a brokerage app, so you couldn't do much damage. But in your 40s, you've got $180,000 and a very strong, uninformed opinion about lithium stocks or crypto. And right next to the portfolio ego is the modern sports betting epidemic. Half of working-age men now have an active sportsbook account on their phones. You might say, hey, I only bet $20 a weekend on NFL games. What's the big deal? $20 a week is $1,000 a year. Invested over 20 years at 7%, that's $43,000. It's not necessarily life-changing, but it's a brand new car. It's a year of college tuition. It's real wealth that is being funneled directly to Vegas because the phone app makes losing money feel like a video game.
Trap 7. The Forever Mortgage. Let's pause. If a 45-year-old just avoided the traps we've talked about, kept his old car, skipped the whole life insurance, didn't buy the boat, put his money in index funds instead of sports parlays, he would retire with over $1 million extra just from doing nothing. But instead, guys walk right into Trap 7, the Forever Mortgage. You're 45, the kids are getting big, the house feels small, your spouse mentions the kitchen needs an update. So you go house hunting, you buy a bigger place, and you sign a brand new 30-year mortgage. Think about what you just did. At 45, a 30-year mortgage means you have agreed to make massive house payments until you are 75 years old. You are guaranteeing that you will walk into your retirement years still owing the bank hundreds of thousands of dollars. Or worse, you take out a HELOC, home equity line of credit. People are pulling equity out of their appreciating houses to fund depreciating trucks, vacations, and doomed business ideas. That's not a financial strategy. That's a really expensive yard sale. Trap 8. The Catch-up Delusion. Finally, the trap that wraps all of this together, the catch-up delusion. It sounds like this in a man's head. Yeah, I haven't saved enough, but I'm making great money now. I'll just pile it in over the next 20 years. I'll catch up. Let's run that math with absolute kindness. You're 45, you have $68,000 saved. You commit today to maxing out your 401k at over $24,000 every single year. You never miss a year, you get the employer match, and you get a 7% real return. At 65, you'll have roughly $1.2 million. Sounds great, right? Until you adjust for 20 years of inflation. In today's purchasing power, that's about $700,000. If you make $100,000 a year, the standard rule is you need $1 million in today's dollars to retire comfortably. Even if you do everything perfectly starting right now, you are still mathematically short. The catch-up window is real, but it is way narrower than men in their 40s want to admit. Every year you delay compounding is a year you can never, ever get back. Pulling the levers. The reason nobody warned you about this is simple. Everyone profits from your ignorance. The truck dealer, the insurance agent, the youth sports complex, the mortgage broker, and the sports book. They are all part of a machine perfectly calibrated to turn your peak earning years into their revenue. But here is the good news. The math is symmetrical. The same compound interest that destroys you when you ignore it will make you a millionaire the second you start respecting it. You have options. You can downsize the house, you can skip the boat, you can buy term life and invest the rest. You have the levers to build extreme wealth. You just have to be willing to pull them. Don't let your 40s be the decade you bought a bunch of stuff. Make it the decade you finally bought your freedom. If this video made you rethink even one of your financial habits, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.